So hi, Nate. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I know, obviously, being on Cobra Kai, we actually play a character called Nate, which is kind of funny. But I suppose, like, how has landing that role changed your life?
So a lot, well, I'm sure at least a few people know about this. I've said it a lot in a lot of my previous times I've talked with people. But this was actually the first job I've ever had anything in all of film industry. So like I've never been a background in any other show, and any auditions for anything else. So this it was kind of like an accident. So it was really kind of I didn't even want to be an actor until I landed this job, and now this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I want to do. So
Mm.
it really changed my path, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, I was talking before the call. I just interviewed Owen Morgan, who plays Bert on the show, and like a similar thing. Where so did you kind of? I mean, what he told me was that he signed up with his family to do background on the show. Did you do the same thing he did, or was it a different like route into, joining Cobra Kai?
It was really similar, actually, like really similar. My aunt saw this thing for they were asking people to come in to be in the background,
Mm,
and they wanted specifically teenagers, like I think they said 13 to 18, and they had to have some sort of martial arts background. And
mm.
I had just turned 13 like 2 days before I saw that.
Oh,
So my
nice.
aunt sent that over to me, and I said, cool. So I just sent a few pictures in. We didn't think anything was going to happen. We didn't actually think I was going to get called back, but and we completely forgot about it. And like a few weeks later, I think they sent us a message like, hey, we like your look, I guess. You can come down to this location and you'll be in the background for some shoots. So I said, okay, that's cool. At the time I was still going to public school, so
Mm.
that was a little bit interesting. But yeah, so that's kind of how that all started.
Wow, yeah, fantastic. And I guess similar to Owen as well, that even though you're both playing like novices, like you both had an actual karate background. Am I right?
Yeah, so I didn't do karate specifically, but I did another martial arts is Korean. It's called Taekwondo, similar to karate, I guess, in a
Mm.
way. It's yeah, so I've been doing that for a long time. And geez, I can't remember when I started, but it's been a really long time. And I'm a black belt second degree right now. I haven't been able to get further just because COVID. I haven't
Oh,
been going
sure.
for. Mhm. But yeah, so I
Yeah,
do have some background.
yeah. I mean, you've got much further with Taekwondo than I did. I did it very briefly about 10, 15 years ago. I moved on to a different martial art as well, and I got a bit further with that. But yeah, because it's kind of a skill to pretend to be not as good as something as you are in real life. I would think, right? Obviously, you meant to be much better, or you meant to be much worse at karate than Nate the character is. I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's really fun to learn karate with them because it's like the same thing kind of, but they call it something different. So it's like doing something completely, it's like almost different in a way. And the way that we do karate on the show, it's more like dancing, I guess, is how I would
Hmm.
explain it, because you're not actually hitting the other person, right? When they tell
Right.
you to punch, you're not punching someone. It's all choreographed, and we have these an excellent stunt team who like plans out all the fights and stuff. And so it's more like a dance because you need to do at this. You need to know when to block, what to block and stuff, and so to make sure nobody gets hurt. And so
Hmm.
it's really not uh the same as karate. It's more like dancing in a
Sure.
way. It's like a mixture, I'd say.
I guess it'd be kind of like a routine almost. Like, you kind of have to know your move to do whatever you
Mhm.
have to do at a given time.
Yeah. um it's really like it's more like a timing thing. You just need to know your timing, and you still need to know the basics of karate. Obviously, that's why we have stunt
Mm,
people who train us, and you have to be flexible enough to do all these kicks and stuff. And so yeah, we still need the training, but it's not like you can just punch and make stuff up on the spot, because
mm,
otherwise you're gonna hurt someone. So
absolutely. Yeah, and obviously, very exciting. Season 4 came out at the very tail end of 2021, which isn't that long ago as of when we're recording this. And I was saying to Owen yesterday, it's doing incredibly well. Obviously, extremely well. Like, I think it's number
Mhm.
one at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah, the reception's been crazy. It's really fun to be able to say I was on this show. So yeah, definitely interesting to see. Dude, people love this, by the way. They
Yeah.
uh they've really enjoyed it. And I already have, even before season 4 came out, I had people asking me what's going on in season 5. So
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Was there anything you're looking forward to seeing in particular in season 4? Like whether you personally kind of a moment that you enjoyed filming, or like for people to see, like in general?
oh, a specific moment. I can't think of one on the spot, but I know behind the scenes, when Anthony first I guess when I first get to work with Anthony, I forgot when exactly that was, but that was a huge, or when I first get to work with Dallas, he plays Kenny on the show.
Mm.
That early on in the season, like
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, without giving anything away, it's kind of in Kenny's like early
Mhm.
kind
Yeah.
of defensive
Mhm.
stages. Yeah, yeah,
That was huge to me and Owen, just because, we didn't have any other kids to be working with, and the rules are really strict for filming with kids. And so
mm,
like the adults or anybody over 18, they could just do whatever they wanted pretty much. But kids,
yeah,
you're constantly, you have to run from school, because you need to at least 3 hours of school a day. And so and so when it's just me and Owen in the schoolroom, it's just like it was totally different when it's me, Owen, and another kid.
mm,
And throughout the season, Una comes, and Griffin joins too. And
yeah,
so by the end of the season, it was just so much fun being able to have some kids to talk to and stuff.
yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, kind of like on that note, that would you have grown up watching some of your castmates? Because obviously, there's a few like Disney and
Mhm,
Nickelodeon alumni there. Obviously, I'm thinking of Peyton List, Jacob
mhm.
Bertrand were on Disney, and actually, Jacob was on Nickelodeon as well at one point. But like, was there anyone that you grew up watching who's now on the show with you?
Oh yeah, Peyton List is probably a big one. She was in a few of the bigger Disney shows, and I have a cousin, and she was obsessed with Peyton. And
Mm,
so it was really fun for her to find out, like, because she was younger at the time when I first came on the show, and so she didn't know like the names of the cast members, right? Because she didn't know who Peyton List was. But as soon as she saw a picture of me and her together, she completely freaked out. Yeah, it's really fun to work with these people, because like, these are people that I knew, I grew up watching, and a lot of people my age, because yeah, I think people my age watch these shows the most, like Jesse and stuff. And so a lot of people in my grade know her and Jacob. I think those specifically because they were like Disney shows, I guess, where we were around that age at the time that
mm.
those shows were filmed. So yeah, lots of people that I know, and I thought it was crazy. I couldn't even talk to them at first when I first saw them. That was terrifying, just even trying to say hello the first time. But yeah, now we're all pretty close, and I don't have to worry about like, I don't need to freak out over talking to them or anything. It's a lot. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. And actually, just from speaking again with Owen, and actually, I spoke to Gianni last year, or obviously plays Dimitri, and both of them were saying that obviously with Owen being that you in the background and Gianni initially being recurring, that neither were really sure what their long-term future on Cobra Kai. Was it the same for you? Did you know where your character had the potential of going, or if you'd be around for longer than, like say, a couple of episodes?
I definitely did not know like anything about this when I first came on. I didn't even know like how the whole film industry thing worked. So I didn't think it was a huge deal that for background to be bumped up to cast member. I didn't realize how rare that was. And I didn't realize how big of a show this show was going to turn out to be. And I obviously didn't know my future in it, because at the time well, I didn't know anything. I didn't even know how to read the script at first, because
Mm.
there's tons of information that like I didn't know what any of this meant. But yeah, so I kind of learned from Gianni was a huge help, definitely,
Yeah,
because we spent a lot of time, because us being Miyagi-Do together, he kind of helped me, explained to me how everything worked. And I also had a teacher who would, because they're required to give all the people under 18 a teacher,
sure.
and
Yeah,
so yeah, that was also really a big help. And Owen, since he had such a similar story, I kind of, kind of listened. He taught me a few things, his mom and him.
mm.
But yeah, so yeah, I kind of learned from all that, and even though I didn't know how far the show was going to go,
Yeah.
and I knew I wanted to do acting. Is
Mm.
what I learned from the first few seasons.
Absolutely. And I think it's great. Again, you said it earlier, and you kind of said it there again, that this wasn't on your radar particularly, right?
Mm-mm.
Acting, but you've kind of fallen into something that is now your passion. And like, I mean, I imagine, as you said, you've got every intention to continue even after Cobra Kai ends, I would guess, right?
Yeah, I plan to do acting for as long as I can. Yeah, I've been working on doing a few auditions and stuff and whatnot.
Mm.
Uh, so yeah, I definitely plan on doing this in the future. Um, Hopefully, once I turn 18, it'll be easier to get stuff, and yeah, with all the auditions and stuff opening up again, it's gonna be a lot better um, for getting auditions and stuff. Moving on.
Yeah, and actually, obviously, even though you're a fairly new actor, like, are there any Asian American actors you look up to in particular since starting in the industry?
Ooh, um, I feel like a lot of the hmm, a lot of the Asian actors that I know are um they're mostly like comedy and stuff,
Mm.
or yeah, so I really enjoy let's see, I'm trying to think of a few Asian actors. John Cho, he's yeah, he does a lot of cool stuff. Stephen Yoon is another great one. So those two, I mean, if I could get to where they are, I mean, I'd be set, I'd be happy. um so I definitely want to work on like projects similar to the types of projects that they do. Like they do a few serious ones and some funny ones. I think Ken Jeong is definitely an
Yeah, for
actor that I
sure.
would like to follow, just because even though he did acting, he also had like he also went through college and school and stuff.
He was a
And
doctor,
I
yeah.
yeah, and I definitely want to pursue an education too. You know,
Oh, yeah. Fair
I think
play.
that'd be cool.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, all three of those great picks, and obviously, I guess fingers crossed that you are able to follow a similar path to what they've already done. And I mean, I'm sure you'll maybe even exceed what they've achieved. Who knows? Like, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens in your future. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was actually also kind of going to mention. I mentioned it briefly at the start that because you sharing your character's name, like, was that a coincidence, or because they gave you a character, did they just say, "Oh, we'll just give him your name"?
See that? I actually don't know. Um,
Oh,
yeah. So when I had gotten this role, and I went to the so when I was a background, they kept on calling me back and they're like, "Oh, come back." And then eventually one day they asked me to audition for it. And when I went to the audition, I was the only person there, so I wasn't sure if they were planning on, if they had maybe they had a character already planned out. They just didn't have a name for him yet. And then when I came, they're like, "Nate, that's a cool name. I guess we'll just use that." So I'm not sure exactly how that situation came to be, but it's definitely very useful that my name is the same as my character, because I don't have to worry about people calling me like my character's name because it's the same.
for sure,
And
yeah.
yeah,
Um,
because that happens a lot. Like I noticed that Jacob, he has Hawk, Jacob, and Eli, right? Is his
yeah, Eli.
artist. So he has to respond. He has to be ready to respond to all three of those at any time.
Mm.
I guess for me, anytime somebody says, "Hey Nate," I mean that's not that hard, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I mean that'd been kind of funny if it ended up with like you and Owen playing characters called Nate and Owen. Because
Yeah,
obviously I don't know what happened with him and Bert. I didn't think to ask him that, but I mean that would have been, I think, kind of meta a little bit
yeah,
for sure. And actually, I guess you've got a background in karate. You probably have like a technical standpoint when looking at the show and looking at the martial arts. But of the senseis that have like been on the show, like Daniel, Johnny, Kreese, even spoiler alert, a certain Mr. Silver.
yeah.
Like, do you think that there's one in particular that kind of suits your style in real life? Like, who would you want to kind of work with as a sensei in real life out of those
Well,
characters?
I think everybody would say Johnny because he's the coolest.
Mm,
You jump from rooftops and stuff when you're with him. But in reality, I don't think I could probably handle that kind of stuff. I think I'd die. And yeah, that wouldn't be great for his dojo. I think I'd
right.
probably have to go with uh Ralph's dojo, Miyagi-Do.
Absolutely, and I guess obviously kind of sticking with your character and yeah, I mean that'd probably definitely be yeah, I'm probably a much safer choice
Yeah.
than anything that Johnny's got planned, for sure. Yeah, and obviously, you mentioned season 5, and I'm aware that it's wrapped already. And I don't know personally if you're in it. I mean, I'm assuming you
Mhm.
probably might be, but I mean, just like working on the assumption that maybe you don't know anything about season 5, even though I know that's not true. But where would you want Nate to go in that the future? Obviously, I mean, if you do know anything, obviously, like disregard it and just kind of talk, you know, hypothetical. Like, where would you
Okay.
want Nate to go?
So I think it's definitely I want to see him fight someone again.
Mm,
That'd be definitely interesting. And oh, I'm trying to not say too much. It's hmm. I just want to see where he goes with Miyagi-Do and uh yeah, how like what happens with him and especially since Eagle Fang joined and he's friends
mm,
with Bert now somehow, and
yeah.
he's friends with Hawk too. Even after
Mm.
Hawk, beat him up back in season 3. I guess they're friends now, so it's cool to see. It would be cool to see how all that plays out in the future.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a while since I saw like season 1, season 2, but like,
Mm.
did Nate join Miyagi Do directly? Was he one of the ones who like joined Cobra Kai and then left? I'm trying to remember the circumstance of how he joined.
So I joined Miyagi-Do from. So originally I was in Cobra Kai, right? I
Yeah,
think it was after the season 1 tournament. A bunch of kids want to join Cobra
moved.
Kai. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then eventually we switch. Me and Khalil, he plays Chris on the show.
Mm.
I think we switched at the same time.
Right. Yeah, and that's quite early on. There's only a
Mhm.
handful of students that were at the dojo at the time that
Yeah,
you guys came in. So yeah, you're kind of in the original class, so to speak.
yeah. That's a fun way to put that. I'm an
Mm.
original.
Yeah, for sure. I suppose obviously like in a wider sense, obviously you've got the show that's just come out, even though that's technically in 2021, but like what do you hope to accomplish for the rest of 2022?
Oh yeah, it's 2022 now. I definitely wanna. Um, I don't know. I want to. Hopefully, I can get somewhere with my auditions and stuff.
Mm,
I definitely want to try to go. I also have school to focus on though. That's been
yeah,
really hard to juggle. But yeah, definitely not fail school and at the same time work on my acting career.
absolutely, yeah. Um, and I guess obviously maybe to wrap this up, like the last question I've got is if you could say anything to like the fans of Cobra Kai, like what would you want to say?
What would I like to say? Whew. It's been season 5 is going to be really fun and I can't wait for everyone to see it and yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, short and sweet. Leave them
Yeah.
wanting more. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Absolutely. I guess obviously best of luck with the future of the show, with your acting career, and just
Mhm.
thanks again for taking the time. Take care and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hopefully we can talk again soon. And thank you.